Next up is Massimo Candela from NTT. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Massimo Candela. I work in the global IP network of NTT. And today we will talk about geolocation. So in the past, I already did some presentation about this topic. But this is a status update, I would say. There is a new part, and it's an important, probably, status update because, spoiler alert, we will answer that question, geolocation problems, do we have a solution? And the answer is probably yes. So why do I say it's a status update? Because it's after 1.5 years ago, together with a bunch of smart folks from the community, we managed to publish this RFC 1992. For now, it doesn't matter what this RFC does. We will see it in a bit. But the reason for this presentation is because whatever technical solution you develop, whatever RFC, whatever standard is good as much as the amount of people that they actually use it. And this is what we will see today. But let's start from the beginning. Why IP geolocation? Why does it matter? So what it is? So given an IP address, you want to know the geolocation of where this IP is. It is an important thing because if you operate a network or a service, at some point you will face the need for geolocation. And it is used for example, to respect country regulation. So I don't know, about data locality, about copyright and stuff like this, to provide localized content like language for the website or a movie that makes sense only in a specific country. To optimize for latencies or troubleshooting. Operators have been doing troubleshooting for decades now by annotating reverse DNS with YATA code and SILI codes. And so it is a need. Or for research. Some years ago, we did a research where we were analyzing the peering relationships among countries. And how do you do that if you don't know what countries? So the geography of the network is just another dimension of the network. So if you have a geolocation problem, you will not be able to offer, or anyway, you will have trouble with certain services. It's an important dimension. There are companies like CDN that they do money out of the geolocation of the network itself. So a geolocation problem is a network problem, and we have to address it. So what is the problem? The main thing is that geolocation, this entire process, let's say like this, started in an uncoordinated way. So there is no central repo, so the regional internet registries, they are not and they don't want to be geolocation providers. They declare it multiple times. There are several data sets that they provide geolocation, like, for example, the geolocation providers. But these are like various, and in addition to that, some content and CDNs, when they receive a ticket from a customer that has a geolocation problem, it doesn't wait that the correction propagates in the geolocation provider and stuff like this. It just patches it locally and bypasses it. So this creates bits and pieces around of geolocation data. And if something is wrong, good luck with that, because you have to go chase where this information is coming from and how to fix it. There is also no common strategy, which means that, so for example, if you go on a tutorial online, there are various blog posts and stuff like this that they say how you can fix your geolocation. And you go and they are like, try this, change this, try this other thing, and try this other thing, and in the end, they send emails to 1,000 of geolocation providers. So there is no specific recipe. There is not a formula. There is not a reproducible method that works every time. So it is a bit trial and error to fix it. And a lot of this guesswork that is done from producing these data sets, which is a good guesswork, and it works in most of the cases, or in many cases at least, this guesswork is based on mostly, well, a lot of hints that they are coming, for example, from other data sets, including, for example, WHOIS, which is the same data set maintained by the RIRs that they don't want to be geolocation providers in the first place. And there are some, these hints in the database, they are also a mess because, like, for example, there are some attributes like the geolog that they are implemented by 2 out of 5 RIRs. It works by providing latitude and longitude of an INNAM, which is like the most specific geographic thing possible for an INNAM that could be everywhere. So it's like you can geolocate a /12 in your living room, but there is no like flexibility. Is like, what are we going to do? Create millions of INNAMs in WIS to provide geolocation? The same with country, implemented by some of the RIRs, and they mean all different things. Sometimes in some is the country of the company, in some is the country of the INNAM itself, and also it's just a country, so it doesn't have like city level, and you have the same issue like how many INNAMs you have to create for. So anyway, there are all these hints and also full of stale data. We will see also one of the reasons why is that. So there is no authoritative approach. So in the sense like these are your resources. How do you change it? How do you change the geolocation of your own resources? You are not the original source of this information. So what usually happens is that essentially the most effective way in the past was to send emails to geolocation providers or content provider and hope that they fix it and they fix it in time. So how often does it happen? Well, I checked on Nanog and I found in my mail client 241 emails since September 2009 only related to geolocation. So it does happen. And also I can tell you that at NTT we also have to fix geolocation issues, and so it happens quite a lot. That it was only one mailing list, a big one, but only one. So what do we want? What we want is we want a way to have control on the geolocation, okay? So these are my resources. I'm okay with the guesswork, which is fine, it's totally fine. But if I detect that the guesswork is not good, or if I'm migrating resources from some place to another, which happens, or from an organization to another, I want to be able to correct it myself. I want to be able to just correct it. I want to be flexible. I want to be flexible, like I want to have, for example, geolocate a prefix or a single IP. I want to be able to say, oh, this /20 is in Italy, and this specific /24 inside the /20 is in Rome. Okay, so I want to do different level of geolocation and granularity. I also want to geolocate from country to city, and I want a lot of things. I also want that it's easy to maintain. Like editing a single file. I don't want to send all these emails and stuff and hope. So what is the solution? Or we will see, is this RFC, the one that we saw at the beginning. So it's RFC 1992, the one that you saw at the beginning. Now is 1.5 years old, more or less. And here I wrote, it gives back to the network operator the power to be authoritative about the geolocation. Now, the thing is that one friend of mine, a colleague, said, why give back? We never had that power. Indeed. So it's just to give to the operators that power to be to provide this information. And with authoritative, I mean like you are the initial source, at least. And how does it work? The principle is simple. We take a format, a file format that already exists, that is defined in RFC 8805, which is called GeoFeed, has been developed by the folks at Google years ago. And it is accepted by all geolocation providers, basically all geolocation providers and content providers. It is a format that is used every day to exchange geolocation information. Most of the time, especially in the past, this was exchanged by email. Okay, so we take a format that the consumer, they can already read, they know how to use it. We don't reinvent anything. And we link these files from WHOIS in a 9NM. So why doing that? Because WHOIS, despite the geographic hints, which are a mess, WHOIS is great because WHOIS is already an authoritative source. So you may agree or not agree, but when you want to know information about an IP, you go on, you use WHOIS. So WHOIS is great for that. But we want to have that extra flexibility. And also, not only we want to have that extra flexibility, But we want to disassociate it from WIS, not only to make it scale, but also because the people that they have access to the LIR portal, for example, the RIPE portal, are not the same people that they usually are operating the network, and they know in a medium to large network, LIR accounts are not accessible to everybody. So what you can do is just link it once, and from that moment on, the people that they operate on the network, they just keep editing that file, and from that moment on. So you get the good of the authoritativeness of WIS with the good of the flexibility of a file. And what happens is that you use WIS essentially as a sort of index, where the geolocation providers and the consumer of this file, they just take the, for example, WIS dumps, they find all these INNAMs and link, they use it as an index, and they parse it, okay? No, so they auto-discover them. But not only they auto-discover them, and this is another important thing, they also are able finally to validate them. Because when you send these files by emails, and after I asked to the various operators, and how do you validate when you receive this file? Because I can send you in the file whatever I want. I can just do a prank to one of my competitors and send you his prefixes in the North Pole, and you accept it. And how do you validate it? And I get like, so some, we check who is announcing it, some, like we see the alignment of the planet. So there is like some that they were like saying, no, we trust the other part that we are talking because we know them. And others were saying, no, we check the domain of the email from where we received, that then it's of the same company. So we need to find also to produce something stable and secure enough for validating. And this is also provided by this solution. So simply, how does it work? You take a CSV file, you create a CSV file, a plain text CSV file, no Excel file, no HTML stuff. Unfortunately, I see also some of this in there. A simple text, you put a prefix, comma, prefix or IP, comma, country, comma, region code, comma, city, okay? There is another comma because there is also the zip code. There are privacy concerns, so if I don't know who would use the zip code. If you find it useful, the format supports it, but anyway, you have to be aware of what privacy concern you may have in sharing specific zip code of location. Anyway, it supports also that. And the country code are the ISO country code. Okay, so it's easy to do. It doesn't use any complex format. The city is just UTF-8 text. You publish this CSV file wherever you want, possibly over HTTPS, and you create a remark. You go in an INNAM. You have to find INNAMs that encompass the prefixes that you put in the file. And you put a remark like this: geofeed, which is uppercase G, space, no colon, nothing, uppercase G, space, and after you put the HTTPS URL. You can create a single file with all your prefixes and resources inside, and you can point that file from multiple INNAM, okay? So if you have a /12, and after, even if you have other INNAM like /24, it doesn't matter. You point the /12 to the file, and all the prefixes inside the /12 are going to be automatically discovered from that file. We will see a bit in a bit more detail. This is an example of geofeed file, really simple, where you can put all the stuff that you want. This is how you add the remark. In particular, in the RIPE database, there is also a geofeed attribute, but sometimes it works only for some assignment, not remarks works always, and it's across all the RIR, so you can use remarks. But there is also a geofeed attribute. Maybe in the future, the geofeed will be more the best option. There is also this is a screenshot of after when you go in WHOIS, you search and you find the file associated. Anyway, this is not the primary use. The primary use is WHOIS dumps, so the geolocation provider can fetch all of them at once. So don't forget the link, what I was saying before. So imagine that this on the right is your geofeed file where you have various resources. The way how this works to validate that you actually own these resources is that you link it from your INNAM. So if you have that /16, there's a remark link to the file. Whoever is reading goes to follow the file and has to read only the prefixes inside the INNAM. In this way, if you were able to put the remark and authorize a file over HTTPS, then we know that you want us to read that file, and then we know that you own that INNAM, and we select only the prefixes in that INNAM. You can put multiple prefixes in that file, but as long as they are going to be valid, as long as each of these have at least one INNAM that encompasses them, that basically, so for example, if you forget to link it, the last one, the blue one, the 45.1/20, you forget to put a remark there, the last IP, 45.1111, would not be valid, so would be discarded. So put the links, and this is also how they read it. You don't have to put links for all your INNAM, you can also use the less specific one and do this approach. So consuming the data, I don't think you are so much interested in consuming this. I think mostly you are probably interested in this audience to produce these files. Anyway, it's more or less what I explained before. WHOIS dumps, follow the INNAMs, and that's all. But you can also use this application that goes and produces basically does everything for you, does the ownership validation with that approach that I described, manages the cache of both WHOIS and the files, and validates the ISO codes. So basically, it creates a unique global file, how to say, a union of all the geofeeds finding WHOIS already validated, and you can just import that. If you already support RFC 8880 file, the geofeed file, for you it's easy. That's why also it's easy to implement. Okay, but let's talk about adoption now, okay? Because 1.5 years passed, what do we have? And now there is a usual balloon moment. Geolocatematch.com, that you have to read it with something like geolocate match, something like this. But anyway, so the balloon is because every time I introduce for the first time a new thing, I presented this is the first time I released this morning, there is a balloon. So if you go on this website, geolocatematch.com, it explains various things, but more importantly, it gives you a list of the geolocation providers that they are at the moment automatically fetching these files. So what we do, it's simple. We put geofeed files somewhere in WHOIS. We put a geolocation that is different from the one that the geolocation providers have, and we keep fetching them to check if they get that, and how much time does it make. So this is reproducible. It's just, you run the script and it works. It works every time. So if it works every time, we tell you also how much time it takes, and we do it once per day. So most of these geolocation providers, among which there are some of the most important ones, they fetch it every day. So we change this geofeed, we create a new geofeed somewhere in some new resource, and one day after, we just edit the file on our side. We don't communicate with them. We just link it to the WHOIS, and they automatically fetch it without us doing anything else with them. And we change it periodically so that we keep track of this. There are, you can see basically for V4, V6, and one of the things that you can see is there is all these birds here on the right for the tweet. One of the goals of this page is to even create more awareness about this. So if you can help me to share this and to have more geolocation providers, already this is really good after 1.5 years. If you have more geolocation providers that they are not in this list, some less known geolocation providers, you just tell us, and please share it so more operators will use it and more geolocation providers will implement it. But this is a solution that works reliably. One of the geolocation providers that at the moment is missing that I would like to have is MaxMind, that they are implementing it. I don't know what that means, but please help me to create some awareness and pressure on this. So another thing that this portal does, you can put one of your prefixes and you can test your geofeed installation. We test basically if the link is correct, if we can find it from WHOIS, in which are your country codes, and if these country codes are valid, you will see this green check, all your country codes. If they are red, you can pass with the mouse and see what's wrong with it. And if everything is fine, also in this case, you can share it and help us to create more awareness and help people to fix their geolocation by stopping sending email and using this. Last slide, we have some questions that you may have that are answered there, and there is also a file where you can just download the all validated geofeeds that we are able to find across all the RIRs at the moment. So if you want to use it, you can, for example, just download this and fetch all the file at once. So what I presented is a way that finally works in a reliable, reproducible process that is already adopted by many of the most important geolocation providers, and it's easy that the others will also implement it because it's a small step compared to what they already do. Instead of receiving it by mail, the file, fetch those files from WHOIS. And I hope this helps you in fixing. So, and also please help me in spreading this information. Help me in retweeting, sharing, and whatever. So this is just a slide for extra help for you. This is where you can find the various ISO codes. AU is not an ISO code. And the region code, you cannot just type it. You have to look where it is. All the various items on the geofeed are optional, so you don't have to put them. You can put just the country, you can put the city, you can put whatever you want. But if you place them, check that it's a real ISO codes. And there is also a list of city names in case you are interested in that. My presentation is over. I think we have like some minutes for questions, if you have questions. And these are my contacts.
Hi, I'm Morgan from Telenor. Do you know if any content provider using this?
That's really a good question. So we are going to come up with more update on the same portal about that. The problem with yes, but we are in contact with at least 2 major content providers, which they are fetching it, but they want to provide an extra step of verification in a way, in particular for like VPN proxies, the one that they try to bypass country content. And so the quick answer is, at the moment, I don't know. And also it's difficult to check it because they do not offer an API that I can say, oh, this IP, where it is according to you. But we are working on that to have that tested automatically. So at the moment, it's all verbal. We didn't have information to put numbers in this. But they're probably going to do it soon. Also, various content, they use the same geolocation providers that they are there. So in the long run, it will work.
Okay, thank you.
Hi. Beside the content providers, there's the problem of Google. Google themselves, it doesn't matter what you how do you tag it. They, based on your traffic flows, they tag it the way that they see fit. So if you have 50 Turkish users using a Finnish IP, after a couple of weeks, that's going to be tagged as a Turkish IP. And it doesn't matter how you communicate it with them, they won't fix it. What do you recommend?
Yeah. No, I'm aware of this, and by the way, Google also publishes geofeed according to this. But I do understand your question. So the thing is this: when you provide this information, you may also be like faking this information. Imagine this. So whoever is reading this may decide to apply extra checks, for example. What we are proposing here is a way to automatically share the knowledge. It doesn't guarantee 100% that whoever is reading is going to accept it. There is no way to do that. So now, one of the authors of this RFC is also in Google, and we hope that what you are describing will change in the future. Also, at the moment, they also prefer to use the ISP portal for the geofeed, but they also read the geofeed. So we hope that that type of tagging will change in the future. But it doesn't mean that anyway, all the readers of this file, they will have to accept that information. But at least you have a way to provide it.
I checked on the Geolocate Match website, and MaxMind is listed there now. It wasn't in the screenshot, but now it appears to be listed, but something about not doing auto detection?
Yeah, so MaxMind, at the moment, we were not able to automatically fetch it to detect that they are importing this file automatically. It's basically among the biggest one, is the only one missing at the moment. And among the big one. Is in the list with the red marks. So at some point, they will have to speed up their implementation about it. That's the idea. So they support the RFC 8805, so they read that file. But for now, they do not fetch it automatically from WHOIS. They still want them to send them an email. So please send them an email and tell them to fetch it from WHOIS. And this is the idea behind it. But anyway, if you consider 1 year and a half, we have like 7 of the biggest one, including like IP info, IP data, and stuff like this that they included. So it works for most of the cases. Any other question? Huh? Oh yeah, for at the good news is
IP
that,
version 6.
Yeah, at the moment the good news is that that is actually one of them also concerned about the WHOIS. If you would put all small iron and nums in WHOIS for V6, it would collapse. But anyway, the good news is that in that table you will see both V4 and V6, because at the beginning some geolocation providers say, oh, we are now implementing for V6. We will see for V4 and stuff like this. But at the moment, the 7 big ones that they are in the list, they both implemented for V4 and V6, and we are testing automatically for both every day. So it works for both of them on those providers. There is no difference at the moment. But you do the same thing. You put in the file your IPv6, and they will fetch it. The same. It just use the INET6 nums in WHOIS. Did I answer the question? Do you have a more different question? Okay. Perfect.
All right, everyone. Please
thank
join
you.
me in thanking Massimo.